Sagittarius, avoid this color for April 18th, 19, and 21st, or you'll lose your money and power in 2026. Sagittarius, this message is not arriving by accident, and if you found it on the very day your spirit has felt slightly restless, slightly unsettled, or strangely pulled to stop and listen, then receive that as your first sign. Something subtle is moving around your energy on April 18th, 19th, and 21st, and the warning is softer than fear, but deeper than coincidence. There is a color you must be careful with on these days, not because a color controls your destiny, and not because your future can be stolen by something so simple, but because what you wear can sometimes mirror the very state of soul heaven is asking you to heal. And when a soul is already carrying silent pressure, hidden fatigue, unspoken frustration, or a burden it has not fully surrendered to God, even a small external choice can amplify the wrong atmosphere within. That is how blessings become delayed. That is how clarity becomes cloudy. That is how money begins to slip through hands that were meant to hold abundance with peace. So before you dismiss this, breathe, slow down. Let your heart become still enough to hear what your spirit has been trying to tell you. Sagittarius, you are entering a narrow spiritual window, and these next days are not about panic, but about alignment. You have been asking for increase. You have been praying for overflow. You have been hoping that what was blocked would finally open, that what was heavy would finally lift, and that the favor of God would rest over your finances, your decisions, and your future in a way that cannot be reversed by fear. But when heaven prepares to release a greater portion, it often sends a warning first, not to punish you, but to protect you from stepping into your next season carrying the wrong energy. That is why this matters. The wrong color on the wrong day can act like a symbol awakening. Impatience when you need wisdom, pride when you need humility, urgency when you need trust. It can pull you toward reaction when the Lord is calling you into discernment. It can feed an old version of you that still wants to prove, chase force, and control, even while your higher spirit is being invited into surrender, calm, and divine timing. In the language of faith, this is the difference between striving and receiving. In the language of the soul, this is the difference between noise and peace. In the language of blessing, this is the difference between touching wealth and being able to keep it. And Sagittarius, listen carefully, because this is where many people miss the turning point. They think loss happens loudly. They think power disappears in one dramatic moment. But very often, what weakens a person's financial future begins quietly in an atmosphere, in a mood, in a choice, in a vibration they did not guard. That is why I need you to stay with me to the very end of this message, because what I am about to reveal is not simply about avoiding one color. It is about protecting your favor, your authority, your peace, and the wealthy future that God may already be trying to place in your hands. Do not brush this aside, because the peace you guard in these 3 days may become the doorway that keeps your money steady, your judgment clear, your favor covered, and your spiritual authority strong. When 2026 begins testing what you truly believe about provision and protection. So if this message is reaching you at the exact moment your spirit needed confirmation, type, I choose peace, wisdom, and true abundance in the comments, because every word you declare with faith begins to shift the atmosphere around your life. Like this video, if you are ready to walk into 2026 lighter, clearer, and more protected. Subscribe if you know heaven has not brought you this far to let confusion steal your blessing now. And share this with another Sagittarius, or with someone whose soul has been under pressure lately. Because sometimes the warning is the mercy, and sometimes the sign arrives before the breakthrough, so you can recognize it in time. Sagittarius. The deepest truth of this message is not that a color has power over your destiny, but that a color can awaken the part of you that is most vulnerable when heaven is trying to lead you into greater blessing. And that is why this moment matters more than it first appears. On April 18th, 19th, and 21st, the danger is not fabric pigment or superstition. The danger is misalignment. The danger is stepping into those days wrapped in an energy that feeds impatience, spiritual noise, ego, and inner pressure. At the exact moment God is trying to restore your peace, sharpen your discernment, and prepare your hands to hold greater wealth in 2026. So when I tell you to avoid a certain color, I am not speaking to your fear. I am speaking to your spirit. I am speaking to the inner atmosphere that either protects your future or quietly weakens it before the next season even begins. For Sagittarius, the color to be most careful with in this window is aggressive red, especially harsh blood red, overly bright, scarlet, and fiery crimson that stirs urgency, heat, impulsiveness, and the need to dominate. Be cautious also with dark, muddy maroon when it feels heavy rather than noble, because in this timing, it can pull your energy downward instead of upward. These shades are not evil, but for these 3 days, they can symbolize the very state of soul you must not feed. They can amplify the version of you that wants to rush instead of pray, react instead of reflect, spend instead of discern, speak from pride instead of wisdom, and push for control when God is asking for trust. And when that happens, what you lose is not only emotional peace. You can lose timing. You can lose clarity. You can lose the invisible favor that helps money stay, decisions prosper, and doors remain open. This is the central truth. People rarely lose money and power all at once. They lose them first in the spirit. They lose them when peace leaves the room. They lose them when their thoughts become hot, their motives become restless, and their choices start growing from fear instead of faith. In Buddhist understanding, suffering deepens when attachment, agitation, and illusion are left unchecked. In Christian understanding, a person falls out of alignment when the flesh becomes louder than the spirit, when self-will overrules surrender, and when anxiety starts speaking more powerfully than trust in God's provision. These two paths of wisdom meet in one sacred place. Your outer life begins to shift when your inner life is no longer anchored. That is why this warning is holy. It is not about being controlled by omens. It is about becoming conscious enough to protect your soul from what secretly drains your blessing. Sagittarius. There is a reason the wrong color feels small while carrying such a deep message. Heaven often speaks through symbols because symbols reach where arguments cannot. A dangerous shade can become a mirror. It can reveal whether you are dressing in calm authority or hidden warfare. It can expose whether you are walking in faith or trying to armor yourself with force. Aggressive reds, loud, scorching tones, and colors that make you feel sharper, harder, more confrontational, or emotionally overheated should be avoided on April 18th, 19th, and 21st. Not because they curse you, but because they can reinforce the very inner pattern that threatens your increase. And if your spirit has already been tired, if you have already felt misunderstood, pressured, overlooked, or quietly angry, then these shades can magnify exactly what needs healing instead of what needs expression. The truth you must remember is this: God does not want you rich only in appearance. He wants you rich in discernment, rich in self-command, rich in favor, rich in peace. rich in the kind of wisdom that keeps abundance from leaking through emotional cracks. And the Buddha's path also reminds you that freedom begins when you stop feeding the fire that burns your own mind. So this is your turning point, Sagittarius. Your future wealth is not being decided by luck. It is being shaped by the spirit you carry into ordinary choices. What you wear in these days is not magic. It is agreement. It is either agreement with chaos or agreement with calm, either agreement with striving or agreement with blessing, either agreement with the wounded self that must prove everything or agreement with the healed self that knows what is meant for you will not pass you by. So let this truth settle into you. Avoid the heated reds, avoid the harsh crimson, avoid the blood-toned shades that awaken inner warfare. Choose instead what protects softness, dignity, clarity, and restraint, because those are the garments of a soul preparing for increase. And if this message speaks directly to what your spirit has been feeling, comment, "I choose God's peace, wisdom, and lasting abundance." Like this video to seal your agreement with a calmer future. Subscribe if you are ready to enter 2026 with protected favor, stable money, and spiritual authority. And share this with someone whose soul needs a holy warning before the blessing arrives. Sagittarius, before you move into April 18th, 19th, and 21st, I want you to do something simple, sacred, and powerful. Do not rush past this moment. Do not listen with only your mind. Listen with your spirit. Because this is the part where warning becomes protection, where fear becomes faith, and where confusion gives way to blessing. Place one hand over your heart and take a slow breath in. Then another. Then one more. Let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw release. Let the noise of the day fall away from you. You are not here to panic over a color. You are here to come back into alignment with God's peace, with the quiet wisdom of the soul, and with the calm authority that protects wealth, favor, and future doors. Now, as you breathe, say within yourself, "Lord, remove from me every restless spirit. Remove every impulse that does not come from peace. Remove every hidden pressure that would lead me to choose from fear instead of faith." And if these words touch something deep in you, stay there for a moment. Because sometimes the greatest miracle is not that heaven changes the world around you in one instant, but that heaven calms the storm within you before you make the next decision. In the wisdom of Buddhism, peace begins when the mind stops feeding the fire of craving pride and agitation. In the love of Christ, blessing multiplies where the heart becomes humble, watchful, and willing to be led. This is why your ritual for these days must be gentle, not dramatic, not extreme, gentle enough for grace to enter. Before you choose what to wear on April 18th, 19th, and 21st, pause for 10 seconds and ask yourself, does this color agree with peace or does it awaken pressure? If it makes you feel sharp, overheated, defensive, proud, or emotionally rushed, let it go for now. This is not loss. This is discernment. This is spiritual maturity. This is you choosing not to feed what could disturb your judgment and weaken your flow of abundance. Instead, choose tones that make your spirit feel settled, clear, soft, and inwardly strong. Let your clothing become a quiet agreement with clarity. Let your appearance reflect trust, not inner warfare. Let your body wear what your future is asking your spirit to learn. And now I want you to seal this with a spoken declaration, because words carry direction. Say it slowly, like a covenant over your next season. I choose peace, over pride. I choose wisdom over pressure. I choose God's timing over fear. I receive protection over my money authority, over my emotions, and blessing over my future. Say it again if you need to. Let it travel through your chest. Let it settle into your decisions. Let it become stronger than the old pattern that wanted to react, prove, spend force, or control. Sagittarius. This is how you prepare for increase, not by striving harder, but by becoming inwardly clean enough to carry what heaven is sending. And as you do this, do not treat it like superstition. Treat it like stewardship. A wise soul guards its atmosphere. A blessed person learns that not every urge deserves agreement, not every mood deserves expression, and not every strong feeling deserves action. When you honor peace, you protect your power. When you protect your power, you protect finances. When you protect your finances, you make room for stability and prosperity that does not vanish when pressure arrives. This is your pause. This is your reset. Walk into those days lead covered and unshaken. So if you are ready to enter these days covered in peace instead of pressure, comment, "Now I choose peace, wisdom, and true abundance." Let that comment become your public agreement with the blessing that is trying to find you. Like this video if you are choosing clarity over confusion. Subscribe if you believe God is protecting your future before you can even see the full reason. And share this with someone you love, because sometimes one gentle warning can save a soul from unnecessary loss and quietly reopen the road to favor, provision, and lasting peace. Sagittarius. As this message comes to its close, return with me to the beginning, because the warning was never only about a color. It was about a condition of the soul. It was about the quiet difference between walking into April 18th, 19 and 21st covered in peace, or walking into them wearing an energy that unsettles your spirit, clouds your judgment, and weakens the blessing God is trying to preserve for your future. Yes, be mindful of the heated reds, the aggressive scarlets, the blood-dark shades that stir urgency and pride. Yes, step back from colors that make your body feel tense, your emotions feel hotter, and your mind feel less anchored. But understand this. With all your heart, the true danger was never the color itself. The true danger is the version of you that forgets how powerful peace really is. Because Sagittarius, what heaven is protecting you from is not only a bad day, it is not only one emotional choice, it is not only one financial mistake. What heaven is protecting you from may be the slow leak of favor that happens when a person keeps moving too fast to notice they are no longer centered. It may be the hidden pride that makes them speak too quickly, spend too emotionally, react too sharply, or force what should have been placed gently into God's hands. In Buddhist wisdom, suffering grows when the untamed mind keeps feeding heat attachment and illusion. In Christian truth, blessing becomes harder to carry when the heart slips from surrender into self-reliance, from trust into strain, from divine peace into inner warfare. That is why this message matters. It is not superstition, it is mercy. It is not fear, it is alignment. It is heaven whispering before life has to shout. So, if you remember anything from this video, remember this: your money, your power, your opportunities, and your peace are safest when your spirit is not in conflict with itself. Your future will not be preserved by appearances alone. It will be preserved by inner agreement with wisdom. It will be preserved by the moments when you pause instead of push, pray instead of panic, Breathe instead of break, and choose what protects your mind instead of what provokes your old wounds. Sometimes the blessing of God does not arrive as a sudden door flying open. Sometimes it arrives as a warning that helps you avoid becoming the reason your own door stays shut. And that is still grace. That is still protection. That is still love. So walk softly through these days, Sagittarius. Let your clothing reflect calm. Let your words reflect restraint. Let your choices reflect discernment. Let your heart remain low enough to receive and strong enough to refuse what disturbs your spirit. And when April 18th, 19th, and 21st pass, do not think this lesson ends there. Carry it with you into 2026. Carry it into every room where pressure tries to rush you. Carry it into every conversation where ego wants to rise. Carry it into every financial decision where fear whispers that you must act now or lose everything. No. What is meant for you under God's blessing will not require you to abandon peace in order to keep it. So if this message found you at the exact right moment, comment, "Now I choose peace, wisdom, and true abundance." Let that be your seal. Let that be your agreement with a cleaner spirit and a stronger future. Like this video if you are ready to protect your favor. Subscribe if you believe God is guiding your steps before confusion can touch your path. And share this with someone whose soul needs a holy reminder that small choices still shape great destinies. Sagittarius, sometimes heaven warns you so gently that you almost miss it. But when the blessing ahead is this big mercy, will always speak before loss does. And never forget this truth. The color was only the surface, but the soul was always the center. Protect the center, and the surface will follow. Guard your peace, and your future will breathe easier. Honor God's stillness, and your season of wealth will arrive cleaner.